What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. It looks like eBay is looking for ballers today. They want you to spend at least $119 instead of like $25 or $50 to get your percentage off, but you get a solid $25 off when you spend $119 or more. So if you get together with teammates, yes, it pays off to have friends sometimes, fill up an entire cart, you can get that $25 off if you spend right around the $120 together, getting you all a discount together. That's a little bit over 20%. That's not bad by any stretch or means. So you don't get to really expand it. You really want to try to stick to as close to 120 as you can to get your savings. But it does look like, or maybe you're just deep pocketed and you have 120 to throw off on any day on things you've been wanting to buy, or you're looking at some high rarity collection stuff perhaps that you've been holding off on. Either way, pretty good sale, eBay, although starting high instead of low, incentivizing people to spend more. I see where you're coming from, but it's not for everybody. Moving on, how many times have I told you guys not to heed rumors and not to jump to conclusions? Now, if I'm theorizing, yeah, I could easily see the Brains Pack monsters not being in the Megatons, but a lot of people are coming to me saying that because a version of this that was, you know, not Megaton was shown on the screen for the WCQ. Like, oh, the Megaton version would have been shown on stream. Not necessarily. A lot of the cards Konami chose to show off were secret rare, so just because they didn't replace a version they already might have had in their office for duels and other things at the WCQ, it doesn't mean it's not in the Megatons. But a lot of people are taking this as proof. I've heard this from multiple people that they theorized that Konami would have put a Megaton in there to hype it. Not every single Easter egg is going to just be thrown on screen for us. We know very few of the Ultras comparatively to the secret rares, and it's still a candidate, but you can spring all the theories you want. I'm not saying it's in there. I'm not saying it's not. But you don't want to just jump to a conclusion like that and buy out that as proof. Now, there is a lot of hype coming to it forwards. Warrior archetypes like the Ninjas. Goki, of course, doing real good right now, but likely to be hit by the list. There's plenty of reasons and decks that Isolde will be played. We actually have Hero decks and Phantom Knight decks, both Warriors coming out in the Legendary decks. There's plenty of reasons for Isolde to gain traction and hype, but it's still a candidate either way you spin it. But complete buyout, it was as ridiculous as $40 the other day. People just going ham, going in, and oh, by the way, I actually do want to show this listing real quick. I know it says proxy on this listing, but somebody came to me last night about this DDS Blue Eyes because it was on OfferUp, and I immediately saw the text and I knew something was weird and fishy when you see the bottom, like the bottom line. If we look at this picture, like the bottom line on the serial number and how the text is kind of choppy, you always compare like a real collector's card like this, because they're the only ones getting faked realistically to try to make a lot of money, and people spending $51 on a DDS copy. Ooh. So these are going to be floating around. You want to be careful in the collector's market, just so you're aware. But again, going off a rumor like this, chill out a little, make your decisions with your big brain plays. I might even sell copies if I had them right now. Gravekeeper hype has been a thing for a bit, but something I really want to drive home here that I didn't think necessarily too much about. Gravekeeper's Recruiter only has its 2 printings out of Yugi's World for the higher rarity, quote-unquote, and STBL as a rare. Oh boy. Oh boy, the cheapest rares, $7 once again. It's starting to rise. So if I don't see where it's going to get reprinted because this is coming to us in a core set, right? Like, you might want to go ahead and get yours sooner than later for Recruiter. I could easily see it ending up in something like an Astral / Turbo pack, OTS pack, but will it? Will it though? Will it appear for us? I don't know, so you might want to go ahead and pick them up. Usually Konami's good about cards like this that are relatively hard to get, but at the same time, if you're interested in the deck, don't be stuck without yours. At the same time, I don't think it's going to be highly impactful or meta, but it is a deck not to underestimate when you have a card like Necro Valley, that this deck tools and resources better than any other. I just wanted to go over Battles of Legend and say some things that I've noticed. Some of the lower cards are moving up, and a lot of the higher cards just staying really cheap right now. It's the optimal time during the off-season to get stuff like Gumbler. It's going to be used in more than Gokis, I promise. Gamma Seal slowly creeping up towards that $6 mark. Actually pretty surprising to see it happen that quickly. I guess the initial prices were the lowest instead of the set bottoming out. We see Brilliant Fusion heading down from 3 up towards 4, despite an insane amount of copies. So I did notice that on a lot of the higher cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles is actually failing. I'd skip those, but if you're shopping around using my code for 5% off, next time you're in here for another set and you've held off on cards like Gamma Seal, which is actually cheaper to start by 50 cents and then 5% off. You have cards like Brilliant Fusion that's also cheaper than its price on here by about 50 cents and then 5% off. If you held out and you still want those bottomed out prices from release, hey, you might as well add them to your cart when you come over here for something new, such as Cybernetic Horizon or the Megaton cards, and make sure to go through and decide, well, do I need this? Do I need that? And definitely compare prices versus eBay and TCG Player. I'm not telling you to blindly go for Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles. Like I'm saying, I'd avoid the higher cards right now because the deal's not as good. But if you search around for lower things that you might have passed on, you'll find some deals for sure. Kaminari Attack, huh? Thunder Dragons really think you're going to be instant fusioning that out? It's a possibility for Thunder Dragons. Thunder Dragons definitely bringing a lot of hype. The OCG is already seeing results from it, as I understand, on week 1. But at the same time, those aren't the most competitive events. Like I said, I really want to look forward to the first YCSs for Japan. YCS Japan series. It's so cool. But I definitely also want to reflect how our YCSs work. But I hope they bring their most competitive strategies forward, and we see how Thunder Dragons work in the early weeks. Now, in my opinion, any old card that gets hype like this is an easy target, but we actually see high quantities. 36 results here. We actually see 4 pages here. So it was just bought out to a certain point from a market price of 72 cents. Of course, being from, I think, MRD, yeah, an MRD common, one of the oldest sets, and being instant fusionable. These are always the kinds of cards I personally pick out of bulk, just in case, you know, going back to Scientist decks and the likes too. Cards like this could end up, although you had plenty of 2,000 attack monsters to use instead with your Catapult Turtle. Oh, good old days, good old days. But I always pulled out cards like these, the Ancient Fusions, and it looks like people are trying to make it relevant again, at least on the market. Going through Dark Saviors, I just want to note, this is doing surprisingly well for the offseason. Even though these dropped down from 90s, they're sticking around, hanging around at that $74 mark. It had dipped towards 70, and it seemed like it was going to keep going, but no, it's decided to hold the line around 70, it feels like. Very surprising to only fall about 20% during the off-season, with so many people that might be selling them. Maybe the 200th really is creating that hype like never before. People learned from Ash Blossom last year. We'll definitely see, but other cards like Widow Anchor, of course, staying low, and the rest of the set slowly falling off to where you can just get everything so amazingly cheap. You gotta love top-heavy sets that allow the rest of the set to be relatively cheap, except Beat. What are you doing? Beat, please. Plus, what are you doing? Goblin Zombie buyout here. Link summoning is probably best used with this card in the zombie archetype, being able to resource things, being able to degenerately use Firewall Dragon with Goblin Zombie is a thing. So, I can see why the higher rarity versions got bought out. You can still get very cheap super rare from Crimson Crisis. It's actually really hard to find this near mint super, so these labeled near mints, that's pretty cool. I usually see those edged foils where you see on the edges the bright foiling. So it's nice to see near mint copies very cheap. And then we see the common actually more expensive. Interesting. And then equal commons from gold rare. So you have cheap versions, but do be aware if you're a collector and you've had these for a while, this is like its third volley of buyouts. It keeps getting bought out and going back down, bought out and going back down. But now even the unlims are lowest 20 for now. And the first ed's almost disappeared. There was one for like 40 there. I wonder if TCG... Nope, not cheaper. Oh, yeah, so people trying to hold ridiculous lines. We'll watch that over the next couple weeks and see where it goes. Same with Zombie Master Ultimate Rare. Only one first ed on all of market at $45 here, and $18 for a damaged one. So near mint, there's only one on the entire market. That's pretty crazy to me. This is always a card that I would have kept personally. I love Zombie Master being able to tool both graveyards, and the deck being based around Zombie World seems to have hyped Zombie World. Oh boy. As if this won't be reprinted in a deck that says Zombie World a bunch. Guys, do not buy this one out. Just wait for the structure deck, especially the common. I get wanting a holo version, and we see the common still sitting reasonably around 2. But don't freak out and buy commons. Duelist League, of course, nice. Ultra Rare, of course, it's a little nice to have. But seriously, don't buy into these high prices. We will get another version of Zombie World. It's just a question of, do I really want to pay this much to hollow it out? Most of you guys who are true fans probably already had this card hollowed out, unless the new cards really just surged your hype for the deck and you need to have this hold off. Just ignore what's happening with this. But thanks for watching today's Market Watch. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see one, and I'm always happy to do one whenever I see enough stuff like this. And I'm like, you know, there's a sale today. I've kept track of a couple cards. I've got like a card to steal from Robbie Cole's Market Watch and talk about. Shout outs to Robbie. Robbie's Market Watch was actually really great if you want to go watch some content over there. He covered a couple of these, but mainly I got this one from him and had the rest of the tabs open. But definitely an amazing watch today. Good job, Robbie. I'm really enjoying how he's doing his content over there. So kudos. Thumb of approval. Blue Shirt Squad. I see you. But if you'd like to continue to watch these videos, subscribe here. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy the discussion, and I'll see you some other time instead of next time like SEMO.